Hello, cooking enthusiasts. Today's video is going to be a little bit different again. I'm actually going to be tasting some of my oldest projects. In particular, some mead that I made. And if you don't know, mead is basically an alcoholic ferment that contains honey. So hopefully this is interesting, but next week will be more of a recipe video. So as I mentioned, two of these meads are quite old. I think close to the 2-year mark, which is good because for homemade wine and similar products, a good amount of aging is recommended. The bad news is because they're so old, this was actually before I was making videos about this stuff. So I was pretty fast and loose with recipes and documentation. I think I may have even used just regular baker's yeast, which is a pretty big no-no. But there is a third sample that is a more recent plum mead, and we can get more into that a little later. I did film myself tasting them, but I'll probably do mainly voiceover now after the fact. I'll just use a little bit of that footage so you can see the viscosity. The first sample is from what I called my Korean mead because I was using Korean inspired flavors. Primarily, the base of it was this sort of honey and yuzu marmalade that was a Korean brand. So the entire thing was basically that marmalade type substance diluted with water mixed with some extra regular honey and fermented with baker's yeast. I did know enough to rack it, so during secondary fermentation I added some ginger and Asian pear. Again, my documentation around this is very minimal, but I think my target starting bricks was something I would later learn to be very low, like 10 bricks or something. But yeah, needless to say, no amount of bottle aging was going to save this. Very low viscosity, no sweetness left, a little bit of alcohol flavor, maybe a tiny amount of ginger flavor, but overall, I think I'm going to just sacrifice it at some point into a cooking process. I don't even think it's worth turning into vinegar. The second old sample showed a bit more promise. I'm pretty sure I went stronger with the honey, and I was going for a very bold flavor. I literally took lemon, lime, and orange, blended it whole with water, and used the resulting juice as the base for the mead. As I suspected, this one was way better. A nice amber color, higher viscosity, still some sweetness, obviously some citrus notes, and almost medicinal bitterness, which I actually enjoy. Again, it's nothing spectacular, but definitely worth cooking with, and I might even make some cocktails with it. Last but not least, we have my much more recent plum mead. This is a wild fermented plum mead that I made with some local purple plums. It's gone through primary and secondary fermentation and is about 3 months old now. The color was good and the viscosity was medium. Definitely a good amount of tannins from the plum skins. And what always surprises me about plum-based ferments is how savory they get. Similar to plums I've fermented with salt, lots of almost black olive notes. The initial fermentation was quite vigorous, so there's definitely some alcohol, but I have yet to get a final reading. But also definitely some sourness from lactic acid fermentation, which again, I don't mind. Not necessarily something I would want to pound back, but I think it's definitely good enough to bottle some. Some of it I'll probably end up turning into vinegar, and some I may fortify with alcohol and herbs and make a proper vermouth. If you have any ideas, especially for what to do with the less successful projects, please let me know. If you have any questions about these projects, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Also, please consider sharing and subscribing. Otherwise, thank you for watching.